The private sector, in failing to deal with remuneration issues, they are putting pressure on state-owned companies. At the present moment, our state-owned companies are not really struggling in terms of their senior leadership. We've got very extremely competent leaders in our state-owned companies. It does become a challenge from time to time to be able to recruit people, the right people that we want, because the remuneration levels where they might be in the private sector are quite high. It imposes a responsibility on our state-owned companies to take seriously the responsibility to nurture and groom their own future leadership, ensure career pathing, so that we are able to promote people from internally whenever we look for senior executives rather than go out in the private sector. But the issue of remuneration is a serious challenge for all companies and for all shareholders, whether in the private sector or in the state.
Moving on now, looking at South African Airways, what is the strategy going into Africa, and how is the government going to be supporting that? Is it going to be merely from the fiscus in a subsidized manner?
You know, we are busy developing an integrated Africa expansion strategy for all our state-owned companies. We want to view the African market as the primary market for all our state-owned companies, be it Transnet, our logistics company, or our energy utility, or even our aviation companies. We want to see Africa as our primary market. The fact of the matter is that South Africa is an African country. This is our home. We have nowhere else. It means that our business must start from here, and from Africa as its base, it must begin to expand outward into other regions and continents. So the strategy is going to be unveiled in the course of the year, because we are putting it together now. There are already elements of the strategy, because South African Airways, South African Express, Transnet, Eskom are already involved on the African continent. Alexco, the diamond mining company, is already exploring opportunities on the continent. We are beginning to lead delegations into different African countries, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Accra in Ghana, to engage with those governments about the business opportunities and opportunities for business partnership with them. So we are not waiting until we unveil the strategy. Already the elements of the strategy exist, and when we unveil the integrated strategy, it will have incorporated all of these elements, and it would be one composite whole.
And what do you say to critics who say that South African Airways are a drain on the South African fiscus and that we should just let them be privatized and stand alone?
To start with, private airlines are going under, many of them, all over the world. So the argument that if the airline is privatized, therefore it becomes profitable and it thrives, is a fallacy. Secondly, there are many countries today, some of them the bastions of capitalism, that are busy bailing out financial institutions, the banking sector, and other institutions. So the argument again that privatization is the solution doesn't stand. It's been disproved in the current global economic environment. But SAA is not a drain on the economy. It plays a critical role already in supporting South Africa's business and leisure travel. It ensures South Africa's security of air travel, and for a country that is on the southernmost tip of the African continent, where we are far away from the major markets, it plays a strategic role in bringing travelers into South Africa and taking South Africans all over the world. The challenges that the airlines are going through globally is not unique to South African Airways. They have to do with the volatile global environment as well as high fuel prices. Insofar as SAA is concerned, the support that the shareholder is discussing that we want to provide to SAA, one, it's to ensure the sustainability of the airline, because we believe that it's critical for South Africa to continue owning a national flag carrier. Secondly, it is to ensure that we support the the change of strategy of the airline to focus more and principally on the African market and develop the African route network. But thirdly, it's to ensure that we have a sustainable and viable airline that is able in changing its strategy and becoming viable and sustainable to procure more modern and fuel efficient aircraft. And for that to happen, you need an airline that is properly capitalized, whose financial position is solid. Because from here onward, SAA must understand that this is not a blank check. We are discussing providing support to it so that the airline becomes viable and is able on its own to support its future expansion plans and support the expansion plan or plans, its fleet renewal plans. At the present moment, even the new fleet that we are acquiring is not supportive of expansion. It is merely replacement of existing fleet, and that is not viable.